Hello there, today we are painting a Scottish fold cat with acrylic paints. You will need a canvas. This is 8 by 10 inches. Anything around this size will work just fine. I've got a large, medium, and small flat brush and a small rounded liner for details. A cup for water, a palette for your paint, and then some sort of washcloth or paper towel to wipe your brushes on. As far as paint goes, you're gonna need your black and your white acrylic paint, a blue and a green for the background, and then for our Scottish fold cat, I'm using this brown. It's a burnt sienna, and I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of orange in there as well. Having a yellow, some sort of light yellow on hand might also be a good idea. And lastly, I'm gonna have some pink for that nose. All right, so to start our painting, we're gonna need to paint the background. So doing a blue sky and some green grass for our cat to sit on. After we finish painting that, I have my hair dryer here. I'm gonna make sure that the background is totally dry before I paint my cat on top of it. If you have a hair dryer, I recommend having one ready for that step. If not, you'll just have to wait for your background to dry before painting your cat. Okay? And speaking of the background, let's get started with that by getting some blue paint ready. I always mix a bit of white into my blue paint because I like my backgrounds to be super light colored for my cat to stand out against. Using my large flat brush, mixing up that blue and that white. I'm going to put this to the side so I don't get paint on it. And then starting with just a line so the middle of the painting's right here. I go down from that just a little bit, and that's where I paint my blue line for the sky. All right. I go down the side here and then push the paint inward. Same thing over here, down the side. I like all my paint to be going the same direction. There's a little paint booger in there. I like to get those out, make it all nice and smooth. And then I'm just gonna fill everything in. Make sure there's no white showing through. All right, when that's done, I need my green. Rinse your brush. And I'm gonna put some green down here. There we go. I'm gonna mix a little bit of yellow to lighten my green up, just like I did with the white and the blue. I'm adding yellow to my green because that'll keep it looking like a grassy green color and not like a pale green. That would happen if I just added white to the green. So once you have your green paint all mixed up, I'm going to start again by just making a line across the middle. Making sure it's all nice and smooth. just gonna fill the whole bottom in with the green. Okay, the edges. Try to use up all that paint that I got. Alrighty. Once that's finished, I'm gonna rinse my brush and put that away because I don't need it anymore. Clean it really good. And go ahead and get out your hair dryer and get this background totally dried. All right. Now that that is dry, I'm gonna grab my reference picture again, tuck that under here. And we're gonna paint our Scottish Fold cat now. The first color you're gonna need is your white paint. Make a nice little pile of that. And grab your medium-sized flat brush. Load her up with some white. And we're gonna paint a big old circle, half in the blue, half in the green here, on the left side. It's a nice big old circle, filling that in, making it really white. Don't go too close to the edge, but you can come pretty far over as long as you're not touching the edge of that painting. Okay. The top of the circle, I'm gonna curve it in a little bit more to about here. So this is taking up about half of the canvas. And I'm gonna put another circle right on top of it. Want this to be big enough so our cat is the main focus of our painting. So this is the head. I'm gonna wait a minute for the ears just because I wanna use my smaller paintbrush, I think. All right, connect this a little bit better here. Let's do the front of the body. Starting at the bottom of this circle. See where it curves here? Right about here. We're gonna come down connect back to the body. Okay. Fill this in. It's okay if you lose the definition of where your chin for your cat is. All that stuff will get painted back later. Okay. You could add a little triangle coming out here for 1 foot. I say triangle because it's bigger at the top here, and then it gets smaller as it gets to where this foot's gonna go, and that's just gonna be a little circle at the bottom. And we're gonna do another foot right here. Again, little circle. It's a bit more of an oval for this one. I'm running out of paint here, so it got a little dry on me. Looks like ovals on the bottom of our feet. We will draw them out more later and make them look more like feet. Let me get some more white. And I'm going to do this back leg here. So if you can kind of find where that original circle was. I'm gonna paint along it right here. And add a foot right here. Okay. Go back over my front legs. Add a little bit more floof here. So it looks like a cat right now, but it's still a little weird looking, and I know that it's kind of hard to see how it's gonna look good in the end, but just trust the process and keep working at it. I'm just making all this nice and solidly white. And I'm gonna add a tail. So coming right out of this edge down here where this curves, right below that green horizon line, I start, and I can just kind of plan this out with a line. Give them a nice big tail. And now that we have this basic line down, flick your brush out from the middle. Don't let it go off the canvas. And do the same on both sides. You can adjust it more as you go. Very nice. Just touching up any areas. I see the background. And then I'm going to rinse this brush and move on to the next smaller size. That would be this small flat brush. And using that really quick before I do anything else, I'm gonna put my ears on my Scottish fold. That's probably one of the most important parts of the Scottish fold because they have these beautiful ears that just curl back. And this is kind of like a cartoon, so you can exaggerate that. Nice ears. Kind of look like horns almost. That's where they get their name, the Scottish Fold. You can add some tufts of hair. Some little spikes right next to it just to show that hair. And even along the face, just kind of fluff this out a little bit more. Alrighty, I think it's time to move on to our orangey brown color. So starting with this burnt sienna, put a little bit of that down. I'm gonna put a tiny, tiny bit of orange right next to it. Try to really be careful and get only a little drop because I don't want to overpower that brown. I'm also going to mix some of this yellow and mix all that with this white. Okay. I'm going for a brown, an orangey brown color. All right. What I actually want to do as well, I like this color, but I want a little bit darker of a shade too. I'm not going to mix all that black in there, but just a little bit of black. Right to the side of it. I'm going to make a little bit darker. All right. So now I have my real orangey toned, and then I have one that's a bit more gray and darker. So I'm going to start with this darker color on my brush. And I'm going to go along the side of my tail. Just running along the bottom of it, blending up. Then once that's a little bit more dry, you see how the paint's not coming off as much. I'm gonna add a little bit to the top as well. Just barely. Okay. Do the same thing over here at these feet. There's not very much paint on my brush. It's called dry brushing. When there's still color coming off, but there's not really very much wetness to your brush, it's called dry brushing, and that helps you blend the colors really nice. So you see how I'm focusing on the bottom of the feet? A shadow here with this darker brown. Okay, I'm actually gonna go along this leg too. Underneath where the chin will be. Kind of giving like an outline. We're gonna go back in with an outline later, so this will be like a shadow. Still using this darker color. Gonna plan out where my stripes will be. Just follow the line of the back. Come down, meet with a point. Okay, so a few spots. And in the head here, M shape. Very nice. Ears. You see how I barely got any paint on my brush this whole time? I'm just trying to use whatever's on there the best I can. All right, now that I have this darker color in, I'm gonna add a little bit, just very gently where the nose will be. Let it fade out. I'm gonna get my orange color now. I can wipe my brush a little bit. Now with my orange color, I go back over all those spots that I just painted. And again, I'm not putting a lot of paint on my brush because I want to be able to blend it easily. Blending this orange right on top of some of these spots with the brown. On the feet, start at the top now and blend it downwards and back. Give you that nice transition between the orange and the brown. I'm gonna throw a few little orange spots in here too. And in the face, going above that M, so you have a darker and then a lighter orange. Just putting a few details in. These don't have to be perfect. We're just adding some interest here with the colors. Again, blending, 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 super good. I know it looks goofy right now, but just trust the process. Okay. Lastly, I'm gonna put a little bit of white here. And I'm gonna grab that, blend it right on top, especially in the tail. You see how much that tail's popping now? It looks almost 3D. And using this really light orange color that I'm just mixed, I'm gonna go around and add that last bit. All right, time for some details in our face. First things first, we'll paint those eyeballs, the blue of the eyes, so that can dry after we finish our outline. Go ahead, get your blue paint. If you have some left over from the background like I do, you could just use that, or get some out of the tube. I'm gonna do both so my blue is a little bit more vibrant than the background. All right, and on either side here, just under the M, do a half circle, flat on the bottom, curve to the top. Do another one on this side, curve top, and flat bottom. Now that's gotta dry before we can put in the details. But oops, excuse me. All right. You could do a black nose if you want, or a little pink nose. I'm going to get a little bit of pink here. This is a coral color. And I'm going to mix it with a tiny bit of magenta. That will get me a nice kind of dark pink. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. And then that will be our nose. I'm going to put that right here. Horizontal line. Put a little triangle at the bottom. I'm going to put some more white directly on top of it. Blend that together to make that nose stand out a little bit better. Okay. I think I liked it better when it was a little darker. But we're gonna outline it anyways, so that's just fine. Now on to the best part, the outline. This is such great practice for controlling your brush and your line work. So I really recommend giving this a try. But if you're afraid and you don't want to mess up your painting, I also understand not outlining everything. But if you can follow along, give it a try. Just make sure that you're not pressing too hard with your paintbrush. You just want to press very gently and get those nice thin lines. We're going to start with our mouth. At the bottom of that nose we just made, down, curling back up, curling up on this side, little chin, just added these little lines next to our eyes. The blue of your eyes might not be dry enough for this yet, but because I can be really careful and just get it along the outside, I'm going to go ahead and outline my eyes. Starting over here with these little fluffs. Going along. Head here. Again, some fluffs on the side. Tracing the ears. All right. Front here, down the leg. Let's get some toes on our feet, curling around like this. 2, 3. Let's do this side now. Going down this line, around. 1, 2, 3. Back leg now. 1, 2, 3. Tail. This doesn't have to be a perfect outline. I'll leave some gaps when I outline, especially in areas like this with the tail. We're just suggesting the shape and making it a little bit more defined so it stands out. Okay? Now, last line here. Go nice and slow. Careful with your lines. I'm gonna put, I forgot to outline the nose. Like that. I'm gonna add half circles for pupils. All right. Now the very last thing I'm gonna add are some white dots in the eyes. Really quickly, I'm just gonna dry mine off. You don't need to do this, but I just wanna see what everything looks like, dry it off, and then I'm gonna add those white dots to finish her. Again, with that small round brush that I've been using, just place a little circle in the corner of both eyes. Okay. You could put some other highlights in here. Fix up any mistakes that you might have made or any areas that you're not super happy with. Maybe you messed up on your line work and you need to go back and fix that with some white. That happens to me all the time. You can get your orange paint and come back and throw a few more details into your kitty. But ultimately, I think we did a pretty good job here, and that this looks pretty good. So thank you so much for following along with me painting this Scottish Fold cat. If you really are into cat breeds, we have a ton of different cats that we've painted together. They're a great way to learn how to paint with acrylics. We have dog breeds and other animals, and a ton of videos that you could follow along to learn with me. So thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in a future video and that you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.